Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Well enough for running on no sleep, right?
A little tired, a little tired. I kind of live this way these days. It's kind of starting to be concerning.
It's life, and sometimes you just have to figure out how to shut it down once in a while.
Yeah,
I know it's tough.
I really do.
It's tough.
We got to thank the people, man.
Thank the people.
Our Twitter has exploded.
Blowing up.
Yes, and I can't thank everybody enough for following us. Please tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a loved one.
That's right.
And, of course, we got a couple more reviews out on iTunes.
Oh, very nice. Very
so,
nice.
yes, please go out there.
Yeah.
Give us the rating. We love 5 stars.
Absolutely.
And, keep this
We're
this
working
thing
hard
going.
for you.
Yeah.
We're working hard for you.
Yeah, and if you visit the webpage, there's a little donate button there if you want to throw a couple shekels, keep lights on. We appreciate that, too.
That's right. We need to keep the webcasting.
Yes. Yeah, the internet costs money.
It does. It does.
And you may have noticed, if anybody has visited the website, that the Dave Nassie Lick of the Week has not changed for past 2 or 3 weeks now.
Right.
It's been a little just kind of staying there. Mm-hmm. Dave lives a very busy schedule. He got a gig with, I think, a country act on the road. And he was out for a couple weeks, and he texted me today, and he said, "Hey, man, I'm trying to, I'm getting it back by next week. You'll have something." And I said, take your time. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. He's apologizing to me for doing something free for us.
For making his living. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
No need to apologize, my friend. We'll take it when you can, have the time to put another one together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Now,
I really do appreciate it.
One thing that I kind of mentioned to you, but I didn't really get into detail, and, I guess in certain areas of entertainment, you would never do this, especially at the thing that you do.
Okay.
But
I always say never say never.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And this is one of those times because Eddie Trunk has an amazing podcast.
Okay.
And I recommend it to all of our listeners. He deals a little bit more on the metal side, but it isn't all it isn't all metal that is like the very latest today, although he does cover that. But he's had Brian May. He did a full hour with Brian May, which was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't heard the podcast, but I've seen the show, and
You're talking about the metal show.
Yeah, the metal show.
Yeah, that metal show and his podcast, of course, are two different things.
Yeah,
but it kind of because there's no extra hosts with him. It's just him by himself.
Okay, all right.
He does an interview once a week with somebody. So
Mm-hmm.
he's interviewed Glenn Tipton, and I apologize, the other guy that replaced KK Downing for Judas Priest. He interviewed them, was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The one that really got me was Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Ace Frehley's one of those guys that a lot of people will dismiss because of the whole makeup thing and the Kiss thing.
Right.
But him and Peter Criss, believe it or not, more of the true down to life kind of person that you would hope to expect out of a band like that. Where Gene and Paul are very business. Kiss is really not a band. It's kind of like a business to them.
It absolutely is.
Right? And
relatively profitable one, too.
I mean, they're billionaires.
Yes,
And
yes.
you know, he kind of, which was awesome, he laid it out there. He gave the pecking order, and he said that Paul Stanley is the leader, and Gene just wants to be the, in front of the camera. That's Gene's
the face
thing.
of Kiss.
Well,
Right.
I mean, they followed him around his house,
Right,
for a reality show,
right.
So, this interview was amazing. But Ace he's a really outstanding guitar player. A lot of his licks have been copied over the years, and a lot of people don't give him the credit that I think that he deserves. My ex brother-in-law from years ago, I was a little kid. He gave me a live one. I was like 8 years old. So that was like mesmerizing to see these four guys that were just like, and it was a big secret then. You didn't get to see them without their makeup.
Right.
That was the big to do. So it was definitely just a very enlightening, show that he had on just how they got him and Peter got pretty much, shunned from the band. And two guys came in and wear their makeup, go by their names, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss.
Yeah.
And it just, when they went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Paul and Gene, mostly Paul probably, said, no, we're not playing. So here was a band that, pretty iconic, I would say.
Absolutely iconic, but
not crazy musicians. The songs were not that great. It was more of a show than
absolutely show.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, for me, that kind of reeks of more business than music.
And I think I think you can kind of tell that Ace that was one of the things that he kind of, the makeup was there because they were trying to do the shock value,
right?
And he developed his own character. I mean, it's the way the band was. But I think that it was kind of like after a while he was kind of like, okay, he wanted to write songs, but they pretty much didn't let him write a lot of stuff.
It was more about the performance.
Trying to write a hit
songs.
to get the band, to propel, and of course the show with it. Yeah. So it was a very cool thing. But like I said, Eddie Trunk does an amazing job at how he interviews these guys. Now, he's been interviewing heavy metal bands for 30 plus years.
Right.
And, he's been very fortunate to have shows, radio shows. And of course that metal show.
The metal show, right?
But it was interesting. I mean, they talked to Dora from Warlock, who is this German woman who's this little blonde, and they talked to the new singer for Accept, who's a guy from Jersey. They actually did a double interview.
Okay.
And just real quick, you could just see the passion that Germans have towards, especially metal. Every time they asked this woman a question, like when he said, "What was your biggest influence?" You would have thought Ronnie James Dio walked on water. That was her biggest influence. She said when she met him the first time, she cried in front of him. He was like, "Whoa,"
wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that is my little thing. I think that everybody should definitely check out that show.
No, I haven't checked out the podcast yet. Like I said, I've seen that metal show. I haven't checked out the podcast. I mean, hats off to Eddie. I really feel that he had a lot to do with the resurgence of my boys in Kicks. I really do. They started to they started to do some shows after they had not been doing it for a while. And then I really do think that even though they had some momentum, I really do think that their appearance on that metal show had a lot to do with the success that they are once again enjoying. And everybody says they're one of the best live acts out there, hands down.
Oh yeah,
still.
Yes,
still. And if you've never seen a Kicks show, if they're in your area, go see them.
Yeah,
It's really worth the price of admission. Those guys have not slowed one iota.
Steve Whiteman
since
is
I
amazing.
knew them from back in the day.
Yes, Steve gives. You hear these crazy expressions. I gave it 110%. Steve Whiteman, without a doubt, that guy
he is the consummate front man.
I don't even know where he gets the energy from.
I know.
And I saw them in 1981 open up for Judas Priest and Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Whitesnake was on the bill, and they could not make it. Something happened. Whitesnake did not make the show, so they got a local filler, which was Kicks, because they had just done their first album, which was
that's early on.
what was that album called? Oh my God, Atomic Bomb, was that Kicks?
I don't
Or Kicks Are
remember
for Kids?
Kicks Are for Kids, I think, might have been the first one.
Whatever the first album was.
Yeah.
That's what and nobody knew them in the audience too much because they were called the Generators or the Shoes before.
It was first the Shoes, I think.
And then they went to the Generators.
The Generators, and then
they
I
went
think it
to
was
Kicks.
Kicks.
And Steve Whiteman came out, and we were just like, what in the world is this? Because, you're expecting...
What cannon did this guy get fired out of?
Yeah. So it was that was the first time I ever saw him, and I was a fan ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
they're great. I've known them for...
Straight ahead?
Great guys.
Straight ahead rock and roll, man. Just plug into Marshalls, Les Pauls, maybe Strats, and just go.
Well, Brian plays Tellys a lot because, it's the best guitar ever made.
There you go.
And Roddy still does the Les Pauls, and those two guys, the parts that they have worked out together.
Yeah, they mesh very well.
Yeah, and they're very distinct parts. I mean, if you stand next to one of their rigs on the stage, you'll actually hear what one of them is playing and not playing, and vice versa.
That's cool.
But out front in the mix, I mean,
it just sounds like one guy going to town.
It's constant. There's never a lack for anything, but their parts are so distinct that sometimes they're playing, sometimes they're not, but it's all woven really well.
And I would put Brian in that that Malcolm Young kind of thing because he does more rhythms than solos, but he's a very good rhythm man. He holds it down very well.
Yeah, he's no slouch in the solo department either.
No, I've seen him. I've seen him almost break a headstock off of Les Paul one time. He bent that thing so far, I was like, it's going to be in his hand. And I don't know how it held up, but anyway.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, speaking of great guitar players, which we do all the time on this show.
Yes, we should just label it. Just great guitar
players.
And just not have to say it.
Great guitar player cast.
We try to bring you great guitar players.
And we're going to do it once again this week because, people, they may or may not know who our guest is. If they do, it's from one of two gigs that he does that have fantastic exposure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I you know what? I'm just gonna for 1 second. And I know we're running late and we've got to get him on the phone. But I am just gonna really quickly. This guy's discography is insane. It's off the charts.
It's absolutely insane.
Okay, let me go as fast as I can. Jeff Lorber, Michael Bolton, George Benson, Philip Bailey, Don Johnson, Shaka Khan, Cyndi Lauper, CNC Music Factory, Sheena Easton, Steel Pulse, Donna Summer, Al Green, Glenn Hughes, my boy, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Steve Winwood, Madonna, Lynch Mob, Dave Weckel, Alicia Keys, Whitney Houston, Mary J. Blige, Sophie B. Hawkins, and then we get to the one that he's known for, Hall and Oats.
It's crazy.
So without further ado, we are going to bring you the second guitar player and actually probably the primary guitar player in Hall and Oats for lots and lots of years.
Cool.
And great guy, Mr. Paul Pesco. Are you headed home or away from home?
Well, actually, I'm headed to an editing session. I'm editing the pilot episode of this new reality music program that I'm creating with some friends of mine.
Nice.
And it's my own little Stephen Colbert to the Jon Stewart of LFDH, if so to speak. I left that show, but I really enjoyed doing that type of thing. and it's actually from the fans requesting it. Man, where so I get all this email and just fan mail from Facebook.
Well, that's
they've been talking about it and urging me to do it, and so actually I found a team of people that really want to work with me, and we're putting this pilot episode together, and man, it's coming out so good.
That is really great. You mentioned that to me when I contacted you about being on the podcast, so thanks. But before we get too much further into this, we had a lot of trouble contacting each other, so I just want to introduce you the proper way.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Amps and Axes land, Mr. Paul Pesco. And now we know how you're doing. You're stuck in traffic, so
I'm sitting here in traffic and just thinking about 100 different things. But I apologize, because the phone I had connected the headphones, and I was listening to a piece of music that I composed about 4 months ago, and there's an artist named Sergio. He's a producer of Sergio Martins, but the artist's name is Sergio Pi, P-I, and or like the character from the Life of Pi, I guess. But that's an interesting man. He's very talented, great singer, great composer, great writer. He asked me. I played guitar on a couple tracks, and he had asked me for, do you have any songs that I would be interested in hearing what you have? Some tracks, so that he could write Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese lyrics to. And man, I'm just listening to this first song. It's going to be the leadoff single, or the number one on the album. So
nice.
I'm really very honored and psyched to have it. And
talk about
hearing
diverse.
a song in Brazil, like with that Brazilian lilt to it. The Portuguese, and I don't speak Portuguese that well. My wife is Brazilian.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the flow of the language, how it has a groove in a way, how various English has its own groove, you can as with rappers, but then just the nature of the phrasing of how we speak. It's funny. I've actually been in foreign countries and listened to a Japanese radio broadcast. And listening to the guy speak, and not just like blurring whatever he's saying, but listening to the rhythm, and all of a sudden it starts sounding like a conga solo. And like, man, do that again. That's great. Because there's music and everything, really,
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, there's music, there's rhythms, and there's a lot of sexy languages too,
Yeah, there is.
True. The Italian, there's the way they. But I really feel there's an inherent phrasing in every language which evokes music.
Right.
And if you're kind of keen to it, you'll hear it. There's a great pianist named Henry Hay. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but you should Google this guy, Henry Hay. He's taken speeches by George Bush, Sarah Palin, and actually it all started with this thing. This guy took a tech support phone call where this guy calls into Casio or something. He had sent his computer in to be serviced. The motherboard just needed to be replaced, but they ended up initializing the machine, and he had 2 or 3 years worth of work on the hard drive, but he never backed it up.
Oh man!
So there's this tech support call where this guy goes nuts, basically, and this guy Henry took that phone call and wrote music to it. And it's unbelievable. It's called Help Song.
Song.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, you'll find it. It's incredible. You feel bad for the guy. It's like, dude, I think you learned a real important lesson. Back to work.
Right.
Yeah, hard drives are cheap.
Right. Nowadays, hard drives are cheap, and they don't even. There's not
cheap
even
and temporary. Temporary.
Yeah. There's not even any moving pieces anymore. It's all digital. Solid. It's all solid state hard drives. So,
solid state. So,
wow, that's funny.
I've kind of hit the ground running with you guys.
Yes,
tell
you
me
have.
about amps and axes. I'm the total kind of amp. From the title, I can relate.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, and I know you can because you've been dealing with amps and axes, for a good part of your
of my life.
That's right, good part of your life. I I saved you from listening to it, but I just ran through before we brought you in. I ran through a whole bunch of names on your discography, so everybody is already well informed and in awe.
I was going to ask
how much you've done.
I was going to ask for the short list of what you haven't played with.
Oh, right. Well, wow.
But let's. We're not even going to get into lists anymore because that was a long enough one.
That was insane.
That was it was crazy. But I mean, let's back the ship up a little bit. And I try to ask this of a lot of people. Where and when did you start? What got you into it?
Well, I mean, I took lessons as a child. My father is a music teacher, and everybody got piano lessons in my family.
Okay.
But I kind of discovered the guitar kind of on my own. My parents wouldn't let me have a set of drums. That's what I really wanted. Said, "Oh, no, I'm not gonna. What instrument do you want?" They said. I mean, hey, and
discounting drums as an instrument.
We don't want you to just hang out with musicians. No. And I'm so sorry to say that. Because drummers are. I love the drums, and but I went through a series of instruments, in school, trumpet, and I tried my hand at certain things, but then the guitar just was there. My father is an opera singer and music teacher. Wow. He had this part. He got this part in a movie, and he had to play guitar. So he got this acoustic guitar and was practicing for the movie, and it was just there in the house, and I just started grabbing it and playing it.
Wow.
I discovered Jimi Hendrix, and it was all over. I was obsessed. I was like, how does he get that sound with this? And it was a lifelong obsession. And I went through discovery. Listening to the radio. There were so many great bands when I was a kid. Like listening to Sly and the Family Stone. I really kind of got into the funky side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I love rock. I listen to Zeppelin. Jimmy was kind of the first what got me into it, but then Deep Purple, Zeppelin, and a lot of the funkier bands. But to me, Zeppelin is like a funk rock band, and Aerosmith too. They really modeled themselves kind of image-wise, like after the Stones initially. I remember seeing those guys. I'm like, who are these? But their thing is they're a blues rock band. They have like this funky way of playing the blues, and their bass lines are awesome. I love the way the bass player and the drummer work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's the core of everything. That's the core of everything. A good rhythm section.
Oh, yeah.
It gives the project its feel.
Right. And James Brown's band, the way they work together, it's this puzzle. Everything is a puzzle piece, and it fits so tight and it works.
James is on the one, man. That's that's his claim to fame. It's
what's interesting is that a lot of guys that we have talked to, we're now 40 some episodes in. I'm amazed at how many guys. Jimi Hendrix was the guy that really kind of
turned me on. I want to do. That's what I want to do. He just had this.
There was rock before that, And of course, it was all rock. It wasn't micro categorized. But then this guy came along, and it was something different, man. Everybody knows that. It was just something. What planet is this guy from?
And the guitar went.
Shift.
The guitar went right to the front.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He definitely. There was a shift in things. It's like kind of like Jocko with the bass. There were great bass players before Jocko, and everyone was like, listening, Alphonse Mouzon, Stanley Clarke, and all the great jazz players. But
Mingus.
Somehow when Jocko came out, he just kind of redefined it in a way, and everybody went, oh, okay. And then they said back to the drawing board, and they, just went back in their rooms and practiced, and we're just investigating this new approach, And I kind of just went through a series of discovering things and hearing people play. Alan Holdsworth is another person who just blew my mind.
I
was like, wow, this flow, and more like a saxophone or a violinist, But also.
Lost you.
That would turn me onto the studio.
Wait, you back that up. Who?
We lost you a little bit there.
Dan.
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Yeah, the Steely Dan records. I started really kind of getting into them from their first big hit, "Do It Again."
Mm-hmm.
But I started reading. I would always read the album covers and to see the credit list, and I started seeing these names over and over: Elliot Randall, Carlton,
Right, Skunk Baxter.
Yeah, and there are these amazing players. Jake Graydon, is another name who, and I started those guys became my heroes, and I was like, man, I want to be like Jake Graydon. He plays on everybody's records,
Right.
Larry Carl, wow. And I know that people like Steve Lukather, they're very influenced by a lot of the same guys. Larry kind of became this guru, to us. And,
yeah, Mr. 335.
They were showing us how there was this path, and I kind of got into the studio that way, and I was really I started playing on people's demos. I was just like, and if anybody asked me, if it was an opportunity to go into the studio, I was just gung ho, and I was at first I wasn't even getting paid. I was like, I'll just do it, man. I'll pay you. $30. Is that good?
Right. And I'll get you lunch.
I met some key people early on. I was working at SIR. I got a job as a rehearsal tech at a Studio Instrument Rentals in New York City, which is a historic rehearsal studio that has locations in San Francisco, LA, Nashville, all the important cities. All the big cities, they had an SIR. Now there are many others, but I got a job there, and everybody would come through, and sometimes they'd have these auditions. And one day there were like 300 girls come through the door for this audition to be a background singer. They were hiring 3 background singers for this French disco artist named Patrick Hernandez. And one day there's like this one of the 300 girls that comes through just walks into the office and is just talking to me and says, "Hey, my name's Madonna." I'm like,
crap.
"Oh, hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Madonna. Well, I hope I wish you luck.
Do you have a last name?
Yeah. Do you have a last?
Do you have a last name? No.
No.
My dad's name is Sting.
Right. We're on a first name basis here.
Right.
That's funny.
So, yeah, that's So I actually was very lucky in meeting some great artists and people who went on to do very, very well. And I connected with her, and she I didn't run into her again for a couple of years, but it was at a rehearsal studio, and she was listening to the band I was working with, and it was just a singer who had gotten a record deal, and I was working on this music. We were rehearsing to go in the studio with some great producers, Ellie Greenwich, who's a legendary songwriter, and Jeff Kent, this great keyboard player who did a lot of session work in New York. But she approaches me, and I'm like, "That's that girl, yeah, Madonna, right? How are you?" She goes, "Yeah, your band sucks." I'm like, "Thanks." She goes, "No, but I like the way you play. You should be in my band." And I'm like, "Well, okay. Well, what do you talk?" "Well, let me hear you sing." Because I was like, "I've never heard you sing. Let me hear you sing." And she actually sang right there for me and had that kind of the way her voice sounded on the first album. That kind of, the high pitched, very, that I was like, wow, okay. I want to audition. So we scheduled something. I went in, there were charts, and I got along really well with the band. It was Steve Bray on drums. This guy named John Kay, who who later played with David Bowie.
Oh, wow.
If you look at the Fashion video, he's the bass player in that. And David Frank, who ended up forming a band called The System, which I became a member of that too. So that was a kind of that was an important audition, because it was like the beginning many different things.
This resume this resume to me is amazing. First off, and what do you think today if somebody came up to Madonna and said, "I haven't heard you sing. Could you sing for me?" Before
Security would pummel him. Right.
If they got that close, right?
I would pay money to hear that first conversation.
But see, do you know why his career took off the way it did? And I've heard this from other people, and I try to do this myself whenever I can. Use the word yes.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yes.
Say
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah, and no instant gratification. He wasn't looking for money.
Right. No, it's experience experience is the money, is the currency that you work with at that point. Because by the time somebody starts offering you money, you've got the experience that they need.
And it's ridiculous.
It's a internship basically. You know, but say yes.
Right. It's equivalent of interning.
Right.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Or being an apprentice.
Yeah.
A lot of engineers do this. There's in the studios, you become a second assistant.
Right.
And I know plenty of second assistants that have done very, very well. There's one I think of, and his name is Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah, I've heard he's done a couple
Ellie
things.
actually got him his first job at the record plant.
Who did?
Getting coffee for guys.
Who did?
And sweeping up.
Who was the guy?
Jimmy Iovine, who's now the president of Interscope Records. One of the power players of pop music right now.
Yeah.
He started.
Oh
no, I'm familiar with his name, but you said somebody got him his first job, and we lost you there for a second. But.
I'm sorry, Ellie Greenwich.
Oh, okay.
Ellie was the songwriter producer that I worked with on that first record when I was in the studio meeting with when I walked out there was Madonna saying a band sucks. Mm-hmm. But Ellie wrote Going to the Chapel.
Oh wow.
She wrote He's the Leader of the Pack. She was like kind of that the counterpart to Carole King, and Jerry Goffin.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie worked with Phil Spector, and a lot of those songs, a lot of the bands that he was producing, this band, the Ronettes, Do Run Run.
Oh yeah.
She wrote songs for the Shirelles. She was this young girl who just could play piano and sing, and she had all these ideas. She wrote so many songs. I mean, I hope someday to be as prolific as she.
Now,
so I met all these incredible people at the beginning of my career. So I feel like a little bit like Forrest Gump or Zelig, having just been, just stumbled, like wanting to do, to be in it, but then just being in the right place, stumbling into the right room, just running into. I tell you, I ended up working with Hall and Oats for a long time. The first time I met those guys, I was walking down the street and I see Jerry, the drummer from Orleans, and his Rick. What's their last name? I'm so tall.
I don't know.
But I run into this. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the Hit Factory right now. I'm working with Hall and Oats." So I said, "Oh, can I tag along?" He said, "Sure, come on." So I walk in the room. This is 81, 82 maybe. They're working on the H.T.O. record, and so I'm there. I'm sitting there in the side of in the studio, and there's Daryl Hall and John Oates leaning over the Fender Rhodes, working on some parts, and they all of a sudden they all three look up at me, and it's Jerry, John, and Daryl, and they look. "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, my name's Paul. I play guitar. I'm Jerry's friend, and no. They kicked me out, and I was like, oh but,
no.
Not 10 years later, I was getting the call to come back in the studio and work, and I played on the Ooh Yeah record, which was in 1988. Wow. And I ended up touring with them and playing on a bunch of different records. So it's funny, you never know who you're going to run into.
True. I mean, and that's where I first met you, was at a Hall and Oats gig at Pier 6 in Baltimore. And I was I was bringing out some Buddha gear or something and I forgot how we got set up, but
I totally
Yeah, and I brought out.
I have a boudoir that I got.
Right,
I
the boudoir.
Boudoir from you.
I brought out the boudoirs, and you plugged it in, and you really liked it, and you said, I got to have this. And John Oates heard you playing it, and he said, what is that? It's, oh, this is new boudoir. And John goes, I got to have one too. Luckily, I had two, so you each got one that night, and I'll never forget because you opened up the set with a very wad out version of Method of Modern Love.
Yeah.
It was awesome, dude.
METHOD.
That's right.
Wow.
LOVE. Yeah, the Method of Modern Love. Those great songs. I mean, amazing how many hit songs those guys have. Their catalog is pretty unbelievable.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
And much deservedly so. They are now in the Hall of Fame. It took a while to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they totally deserve to be there. They defined a whole new style, or their own style of rock and soul.
Yeah, it's blue-eyed soul, man. Yeah.
Right.
Now, here's a funny thing because, Paul was mentioning that Deep Purple was one of his influences.
Oh, one of my tone benchmarks.
Oddly enough, not in the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
Is that the most?
That's true. That's
crazy.
That is almost a slap in the face.
I mean, Blackmore is one of my few tone benchmarks, without a doubt.
Yeah, mine as well.
That is the craziest thing. I heard that the other day, and I was like, "What is wrong?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the credits I had read earlier on your discography was Glenn Hughes, and man,
well, there you go.
Glenn is a great buddy of mine, and man, I love his voice so much.
Yeah,
and his work with Deep Purple is just mind-boggling and historic. His version of Mistreated, Burn, the way he sings, I mean, just everything. He has such emotion and such an instrument. He's one of my favorite singers ever.
Oh, for sure, so recognizable. Yeah, they were doing Burn with Black Country Communion when they were touring for a while. Oh, that was so great to hear that live again.
It's crazy. Now I have to ask. We all know that Steve Lukather has some insane amount of albums that he's been on. Mm-hmm. What kind of numbers have you been on, Paul? With
wow, it's I'd have to check.
I could start counting here. There's pages and pages.
I know, it's insane.
There's a couple sites. There's allmusic.com, which is really cool. And then there's another one called Discogs. And Discogs.com, and if you put an artist name in, it cross-references the credits and stuff, and it's become a great way to kind of, because I remember when I was first starting out, I would just keep a list, I would it was, but there's just no way. After a while, you just do. I mean, I lived in New York City for about a 10-year span, right in Manhattan, and I basically didn't even leave the island because I was working in the studio, just bouncing back and forth.
Wow.
That's how I spent most of the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
Then I hit the road. I started touring. I toured with Joan Baez for about 9 years. Right, that's an interesting thing about me. I am a bit of a chameleon. I love rock. I always wanted to be in a rock band, but I love funk. I love jazz. I love the George Benson is one of my favorite guitarists, and just in awe of him. And I listen to John Scofield. I like a lot of the new. There's a guy named Kurt Rosenwinkel who's excellent. Paul Bolenbeck, who plays with Joey DeFrancesco, is great, man. Tone and vocabulary, there's just such incredible playing going on. I love that. I like Jimmy Herring. He's like, I listen to him. I'm like, oh man, I got to go practice.
I think he makes up scales.
They're synthetic. Combinations, of various things.
All of his scales have 15 notes.
I was just
quarter
watching
tones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, next he'll be playing fretless.
Yeah. And oh man, I gotta say, Derek Trucks is taking slide guitar to a whole other level. Taking what Uncle Dwayne did.
Yes.
And I love Jerry Douglas's playing as well. I don't know if you listen. Do you know who he is?
Yes.
He's a dobro player.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Just what a great command of the instrument. And he sounds like some of these Indian, guitarists. And,
and you mentioned Derek. I mean, if everybody knows that he plays with the Brothers, but go search out his work outside the Brothers. Go search out his solo work.
It's crazy.
His solo work is just amazing.
That's a different animal. It is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the stuff with his wife, Susan, they got some. They have a great rapport.
I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day. I was watching their appearance on I forgot what year, Crossroads.
Yeah,
it was, and they pulled out some Delaney and Bonnie.
That was the year I went.
Oh, it's just, if you haven't seen it, it's great. I really think they should follow that direction, because if they could carry that torch, because nobody's quite doing that.
Yeah,
and it was such good music. If they could carry that torch, it would be awesome.
That was the one I went to.
Oh, that's right. You were at that year.
Yes, because Greg had to have a liver transplant, and the Allman Brothers had to cancel. So Derek and Warren went and they played
Tedeschi Trucks, and Warren came out and played. Yeah,
it was good stuff.
Incredible. Yeah, those guys can really just step up to the plate and hit it out of the park. Warren Haynes is gifted as well. Great singer, great performer.
Yeah.
So it's funny. A lot of people. I always say this to some young musicians who are just really or schools. I've been doing some seminars or workshops where I go in and play some of my music and then talk about being a session player, and how my approach to music and to guitar really is very similar to learning a foreign language or learning your mother tongue, like English. English is a language, and if you think of it that in those terms, or in that term, is in that way, is that then, you hear somebody who speaks broken English, they don't really speak that well, but does that mean that what they are trying to communicate to you isn't as important or meaningful, No. And when you think of it in those terms, that's why, people who can hardly play an instrument can land on something that's really amazing or really effective or really kind of just will hit you right in the gut. And that's why I think, if you hear like some of these punk bands, there's not a lot of finesse, not a lot of know-how, but they're hitting on something that then just really resonates with people. And I see that, I recognize that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's an energy too, and I mean, all music is energy. It affects you, to your molecules.
And what we hope that never loses is the human factor.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And music is not a sport, So wow, did you hear how fast it is? Well, how fast can you play? So, I get it.
Thank you.
I can do backflips.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
I can't get to the mailbox any faster, but
right. No, yeah, it's not how much you say, it's what you say.
My point is that a lot of people approach music like it's a sport, and really what it is a language,
right?
And a language that everybody understands.
Right. You don't have to know how to play it. You don't necessarily have to understand the words. But
right, to get the emotion of something,
Yeah, if you went into Darfur and you took, any song that was on any album and you started playing it for the guy, they would start moving. I mean,
they would understand the music.
Exactly.
Right.
Me, my guitar is like a passport. It's taken me around the world. Had I been an actor or a comedian, I'd be kind of, I'd relegated to the countries that spoke my respective language.
That's really funny. I never thought of it that way. It's you're more free with music than you are
with
something
anything
that relies on a spoken word. Yeah.
Right.
Literally anything.
As an actor, a famous movie will get dubbed over.
Right.
But you're not really getting that person. You're getting their face.
Right.
Wow.
You're getting a sample.
Yeah.
So I just also, man, I gotta tell you, amps and axes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm using now? I use a Sir Badger 30 watt and an 18 watt, and I love these amps.
I played through a 30. That is a crazy little amp.
It's really got lots of character and tone. And I play it both clean and I like to add a little bit of energy and some crunch to it, and it has many qualities, and I just love working with them. And John is one of my favorite people, and his guitars, the way he makes the necks, they just it's funny. It's like you feel like I feel like I play better on a Sir, or I'll play something that comes back and you go, wow, did I just play that? You know,
it's inspirational.
Things, like,
inspirational.
Yeah.
And so I have two Strat type guitars by John Suhr, and I love both of them. They're oh, actually no, I have three now. I have one. There's one loaner they let me hold on to. That's what it was like the guitar they used at the NAMM show in the booth. He said, "Oh yeah, we use this one. No, nobody really owns this, and you just take it." I'm like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is nice," because they were working on one of my other ones, so I needed a backup, and so
cool. Huh. You mentioned necks. Is it cut specifically for you? Is it like a compound radius that they do or anything?
It's that radius that they use. It's a standard type of thing. Okay. But what he does when John planes the fretboard, he does it with the neck under simulated string tension. Oh. So when the strings are on, it is truly straight. So versus taking a neck and then planing the fretboard with the neck not under tension. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then putting strings on it, and then you go, then you're leveling the frets. There's like this kind of this thing this stage that's avoided by simulating the tension, so the neck then is flexing, it's reacting to the tension of strings, and then that's when he then works the fretboard, and that way when strings are on it is straight. Yeah. It's just really
that kind of makes a whole lot of sense.
You know who the other was an endorser for a while was Guthrie Govan.
Guthrie Govan, another amazing, unbelievable guitar player.
That dude is scary.
What facility? It's crazy. You hear him.
Still trying to figure out what planet he's from, because it isn't here.
Yeah, he's from Newcastle.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they landed aliens there.
He doesn't drive, right? He rides a bicycle around town and plays guitar.
Really?
He used to work at McDonald's, I think. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't surprise me.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And, but man, he's done his homework. He plays so great. He's got a great sense of funk. Mm-hmm. He's one of the he's a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a great sense.
He can do a strumming thing with his right hand that I've never seen anybody do. Yeah. Like, I mean,
he's gifted. He's got a facility and just kind of this. He's meant for the instrument, It's just like when he started playing guitar, he found his home, in a way. There's just there's people who redefine the instrument, or technique or things that you can do. It's like a person who's showing you, oh, right, didn't you know that there's this room in this house? You could just take this hallway and you go over here, and boom, he's opening this whole area of knowledge or just of technique and playing.
Yeah. Yeah, he has definitely got a very, very unique style. I don't know anybody else that plays like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys like Tommy Emmanuel?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's another person who it's funny because he's a great electric player, but it's when he started playing acoustic or just came out playing these acoustic concerts, people just were, what? Oh my God! And I love what he does with he has these brushes. He's originally a drummer.
Oh wow!
A lot of great players played drums first. You see, I could have been an even greater player if my parents would have let me play drums, but no.
Mine were beautiful and let me actually have a kit for a while. So
wow, I have a kit now, and actually my son. I have a son who's Sal, who's he's 2.5 now, and he already has a little baby Ludwig kit.
That is awesome, and that is such a great age.
Yeah, inherited it from my landlord. Actually, his son had it, and he needed to work on his motorcycle. So I mean, I threw him like $70, and this set is so awesome. I love the sound of it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So Sal is, he's kind of plays, and I count to him like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And he's got the feel though. He's already written a song for my wife Tatiana. It's he picks up the ukulele and mirrors me and plays it lefty. He's right-handed, but he plays it lefty, and he has a song called Mama Linda, Mama Linda, Mama Linda, which means Mommy's beautiful. which is true.
That is awesome, man. And he's right-handed, but he just is learning watching you playing it backwards.
So he's naturally mirroring. He's like a mirror. He's just grabbing it and playing it because the neck's going this way.
Yeah.
So I'll play it this way. And I keep going. No. You're right-handed. You can play it this way, and so right now, I mean, he's 2.
Well, but that's okay. Maybe he'll turn out to be ambidextrous. And
exactly. He'll be playing both ways.
Right. I'm not going to make a comparison that I was just going to make, but the guy I'm thinking of.
Oh, right. That guitar.
Michael Badia.
Yeah, that's the one.
There you go. You give him the double neck, Dean.
Double neck hammer on.
Yes.
Like doing that Alan Holdsworth technique.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, back to gear for a minute. You said you were using the Badgers, the 15 and the 30.
Yes.
Live and in studio, or do you find that you need different gear for different applications?
Well, it's funny. I do have different gear. Live, I've been using the Badgers. I use them in the studio as well. But I mean, I have for certain things. I did a record with John Blackwell Jr., who plays drums with Prince, and I think he's out with D'Angelo now or something. But John, it was really kind of a jazz record, and this one song I composed for it is called High Performance, the John Blackwell project. It's you could find that on iTunes.
Cool.
But it's very Schofield-esque, and so I was playing a Howard Roberts guitar, Gibson Howard Roberts, and for the solo on that, which was very much that kind of jazz box thing, I played through my Princeton. That has my Fender 63 Fender Princeton that I got when I was a kid. With it has a JBL 10-inch speaker in it, and that thing just will not break up. It's so clean, so nice. So I mean, certain amps have a certain voice, and of course, I have a collection of things that I've acquired over the years.
I would think.
And I'll use that. I look at them like it's a painter's brush set,
Sure.
The guitars, the various guitars. Why do you need 30 guitars?
I hear that all the time, and I only have a couple. One of the questions, I guess, where you were going, I know you were going with this. Do you have to use any of the modeling stuff ever?
I'm intrigued by it. I've got to play with the Kemper. I really want to mess with the Fractal. I have a Line 6 endorsement, and I've been working with their stuff for years, and I really love. It's funny. I'm one of those guys that would buy a box, or meet somebody from the company and get. I was one of the first guys in the studio with a Rockman.
Wow.
I remember hearing that. There were records being made with it. There was the Zoom when it came out. I remember Prince was using it. The envelope filter in the 9002, I think it's called. And I ended up doing a session with a band called CNC Music Factory. I played on 2 songs on that CNC Music Factory album. Actually on more songs, but the 2 big hits were a song called Sweat, which everybody knows by everybody. Everybody Dance.
Everybody Dance.
That guitar sample. They had like a keyboard sound doing that. Dun 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 dun, which is very much kind of. It's funny. There's another band called Snap at that time. I think they had another. They were borrowing from the Mission Impossible theme. Just changing it into. That's in 5, but then they did their version in 4. But then they said, we want you to double, play it with guitar, do power chords, and I used the Zoom for that. Zoom and I had an ESP guitar, a Strat guitar with EMG pickups in it and the Floyd Rose, and so I still have that guitar.
Nice.
And it's funny, I with that Zoom and just created this. Doubled the part. Made the do those power chords, which is B flat, F, A, B flat, A flat, B flat. Don't.
Right.
It's funny, and then we gated it. We put it through a drummer. The gate was being keyed by the keyboard sound, so it would just open and close.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds really gated. Did you gate that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was played through. It was keyed. The gate. It was played through a gate, but the gate was keyed to the keyboard sound that I was emulating. You know?
Okay.
And then they sampled it, and I got to tell you that sample appears in a lot of places.
Oh, I bet.
And there have been times when people have used it, and they've actually sent me a session check.
Nice.
And then there's a lot of times where they don't. So I'm like, but
I'll be happy for
Sweat is gone on to become one of those iconic, just kind of songs from the late '80s, early '90s. That it's in all these TV shows and movies and stuff. So I'm really
every wedding band plays it.
Every wedding band
plays it. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, the Zoom became something I used in the studio a lot, and it was convenient because it was small. I could put it in the gig bag, and I'd always have a sound that I could rely on, because that was the toughest thing in early days, man. If you didn't have you'd have to bring a fuzz pedal or some sort of distortion, a wah-wah. You have to. I mean, you have those things. I have a really great pedal board now, and there's certain things I like to keep it simple. I'll send you guys. I'll email you a copy. I have a picture of one of my other pedal boards, but
cool.
It's sort of a joke, but the thing is simplicity and also knowing where to place the pedals. In the signal path. There are certain things that you would put that I put before the preamp. Before the input of the amp, and then there's certain other things that I'll put in the after the preamp, post.
Right, in the loop.
And in the loop, in the effects loop, So you take the send, this is something I'll do. This is what I do now with my pedal board. I take the send out of the back of the amp, and I go right into a volume pedal. To input of a volume pedal, and then the output goes to a delay or whatever multi-effects. I have an M13, a Line 6 M13, that then everything goes through that, and I can call up various modulation, delay, reverb, even distort the signal even a little further. But I have a distortion box. I use the Halo, the ARX, the Alex Aguilar Halo box, which is the harmonic amp-like overdrive. And I have a wah-wah pedal. I have a Red Witch phaser, which is almost sounds like a Univibe to me. I can get that Band of Gypsies machine gun sound, which I love.
Cool.
Yeah.
Or Bridge of Sighs. That
Robin Trower thing.
Forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So, I mean, not that I use that a lot often, but, I love having those things. And those are things that typically go before the preamp, And then there's other stuff. There's a song by J-Lo called Play.
Okay.
It was on her second album, I believe. And it was one of the singles, and I played guitar on that. It's like kind of my signature clean Strat direct sound. But there's like kind of a Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, ninth or just like the sus chord, down, But I divided the signal chain into two things. I had a Fishman Power Bridge, which is really an acoustic simulator. It's like these. This really cool bridge for a Strat type guitar that Fishman made around that time in the early 90s, early and mid 90s. I think they started making them, but I used it in like 98 or 99 with J-Lo for the song Play. And what I did was I took the transducer side, and that went like super clean, And then I did the magnetic pickups went through a wah-wah and through my standard amp setup into direct as well. But so you'll hear the wah-wah going through a slow sweep and me doing this jangling thing on one side, and then the ultra clean, like glassy kind of clean guitar on the right. And if you listen to it, it's really kind of a cool sound.
Nice.
And that's something else I would always do. Just really experiment with dividing the signal using a mult, like coming right out of the guitar and going into 5 different things, but letting them all come up on the board, at the inputs of the board in various places. And then, you can easily mix and match. You know what I mean? You have the direct signal, which you can always record because you might want to reamp.
Right.
And then you have your Marshall, you have the Rockman, and then I'll have a couple other direct things, and you could, kind of like use the mute buttons and just use the direct sound and this. And I started really getting into experimenting in the studio that way, and then not having to repatch anything. It's just already there. Oh, we need a direct sound for that. Okay, just unmute that one. Boom.
Right. And like you said, you could reamp and do whatever you need to do because they're relatively dry signals.
Yeah.
But,
right.
I mean,
and these days, it's awesome with Pro Tools and Logic and using plugins, and then capturing the direct tone off your guitar is key. Because you could use a plugin in your laptop. You could be on the tour bus or something, and then you take that performance to the studio and then feed that signal. Reamp it through your Marshall in the room. And capture this great amp and the acoustic qualities of the room. It's incredible what you can do in just preserving a performance that you know is already great. You played the solo, but now you can play it in the room.
Yeah, and you don't have to play it 8 or 10 times perfectly. You get the one perfect take, and then you take that and do what you need to do with it. That's
exactly.
That's fantastic.
Exactly. It's awesome, and I love doing that. Having that option and keeping your options open, not having to commit to one thing. It was just, this is a real great solo, but there's, it's just this one amp sound.
Right.
You have options.
Yeah. It sounds like your clean tones got one up on Nile Rodgers, man. It really does.
Well, I don't know about that, but man, I love Niles playing so much. He's got such a great rhythm sense, and he's definitely one of my good buddies.
Oh,
and,
cool.
I love that he's doing well these days. He's playing on a lot of records. He did that
the Daft Punk thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's great.
Now, do you know Nicky Morock?
I was just going to say, speaking of buddies, I was hanging with a good buddy of yours last night.
Yes, Nicky,
yeah.
He's great.
He said to say hi.
Wow. Well, Afghanistan, he's Parakalo. He's from... He's from a family of players. Yeah, they all play. I think they all play bouzouki or something.
Yeah, we had him. We've had him on the show.
Yeah, he talked about it, playing with his dad and his mom.
Yeah,
his mom had to learn how to play dobro or something. I was like, my mom could barely make a casserole.
Yeah, they're playing. Bouzouki and all this incredible music. The time signatures and the dexterity. I've been to Greece and just hung out, listening to some of these guys play. It's like going to Spain, hearing some flamenco players there. There's guys on the street that are just burning. And have this technique, the rasquiados and the way that people in Greece play. It's incredible, And,
I love influences outside this country. I mean, there's so much to listen to, and it's all so different.
I went to Ireland, and we were in a bar, and this whole family came in, and they were playing all this Irish music. It was a daughter, the son, the mother, and the father, and they were all singing, and I was blown away how incredibly well they were playing in time, but just this music that I'd never really ever heard of.
Right. It was a kind of that jig or kind of Irish bluegrass.
Exactly. It was. I was like, the timing is very different, but it was just. It was really interesting to see that outside of America. America is always. Yeah. It's kind of the.
It's different, but it's kind of all the same.
Yeah.
Well, it's evolved into something other than what it was. I think there used to be a time when every city had its own flavor. You'd think of Chicago, of course, the blues. There's Kansas City,
New Orleans,
Philadelphia, New Orleans, Memphis, Muscle Shoals. There's just this incredible
Austin,
Austin, right?
Yeah.
So it's just through the modernization and now it's become a place. But it used to take days to get across the country and also the dialect or the accent of every city. It stayed it didn't get as watered down, as maybe things are now.
Right,
but,
right.
Like people like, Charlie Parker, he was in Kansas City. That's a Kansas City. He's a product of that environment.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love the story about him getting a job as a dishwasher when he was like 15 because he couldn't get into the club to hear Art Tatum play. And that's all he was ever trying to do is sound like Art Tatum.
Wow.
Yeah.
But see, creative ways to get what you want,
Exactly.
Exactly.
And legal.
Right. Get a job. Go into the main room. You could be there washing dishes, hearing one of the masters play every night, and he learned so much. Just
Right.
Wow.
Speaking of the Celtic stuff that you hear, Paul, did I see on your discography bagpipes?
Okay, that's. I don't know how that happened, but actually, that's on for the movie Robots. I played guitar, and maybe that's a joke. John Powell, or somebody, at the record company put bagpipes, and I don't play bagpipes.
That's fine.
Not that I wouldn't, want to learn. I mean, I think it's kind of a cool thing. I love. There's some AC/DC records, man, with bagpipes on them,
Yeah.
And,
long way to rock and roll, or long. What is it?
Long way to the top.
Long way to the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I have a very good friend.
I'm a big fan.
I have a very good friend that plays bagpipes, and he's put a project together that's doing very well over the years.
Very cool.
So,
wow. Interesting. Love to hear it.
Yeah, it's called Barley Juice. His name is Keith Brewer. He used to be with a band called the Ravens back in the day.
That's up his way.
Oh yeah. Well, Keith did a lot of work he did voiceover for years in New York and Philly.
Yeah.
And he learned how to play bagpipes, and Barley Juice is touring currently and doing very well.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it's very
That's so cool. Keith Brewer, I know the name.
Yeah, he played in the band called the Ravens for a while. Their biggest hit song was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's Raised on the Radio. And
okay, right. I heard that one.
All good friends of mine. I play with the other writer in that band, Rob Fahey. I play with him quite a bit. But
very cool.
Yeah, Keith's good boy, and he plays guitar, keyboards, and bagpipes, and
sings very well too.
Sings killer. Got a great voice. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I'd love
fun.
to, man. But it'd be fun to jam with you guys sometime. Maybe we could do. I'm serious. This pilot we're going to sell it, and things are going to go. And I would love to have you guys come co-host the show with me, an episode.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, man. I know we touched base on that a little bit, and that would be great. So we will stay in touch about that.
Yes.
And let's go check out some pedals and talk about playing and working in the studio. There's so much that we could do. I don't know. I kind of sitting in front of the house, and we gotta get to work. I was wondering, could we continue this conversation?
We absolutely could have you back on, man. Let's
sure.
Let's wrap it up for now, and at some point in time in the near future, we'll revisit and we'll see what you got going on in the studio, how the pilot's going, what you're into studio wise nowadays, and what's on the horizon for Paul Pesco.
I'd love to give you a report, and actually maybe even send you a copy of the pilot episode to see what you guys think, or give me criticism. I always want to try to make it better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be great, man. We'll
I want to
absolutely
include
stay in touch.
kind of a how it's made segment where I go to I'm scheduling a meeting with Mark Drange from DR Strings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm going to go to the factory and get his history, because he's a great guy. Besides being a friend of mine for about 30 years now.
Nice.
He grew up in the Guild factory. His father owned Guild guitars.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
And,
yeah.
And he worked for, he's of Swedish descent, and he worked with TC Electronics for years.
Yeah.
And then he formed DR Strings, the DR from the first two letters of his last name, Drange.
Nice.
And they have the old machines, they're handmade strings. I want to do a short little segment where I talk to him about the history and show how a guitar string is made. show some raw material, string being made, throw it on a guitar, and play a song. You know,
That's a great idea.
That's pretty cool.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Guild and Ampeg from back in the day. I mean, I was born and raised in North Jersey, so you know.
Oh, okay, so you know.
I'm right there. Yeah. But that's very cool. Yeah, we will absolutely stay in touch and you know keep abreast of the progress of Mr. Paul Pesco and what he's got his hands into. It all sounds really, really interesting.
Check out my Facebook page. There's a fan page, and then that's really there's a lot of announcements about gigs, and there's some cool pictures. I was just down in Brazil working with this great classical pianist, Juliana D'Agostini, who's one of the top 5 classical pianists of Brazil.
Nice.
And we're doing some Beethoven and Franz Liszt pieces, where then I played kind of a very Yngwie or Ritchie Blackmore-esque interpretations of Beethoven.
Wow.
But then I said, listen, we're doing this classical rock treatment to classical music. Why don't we take a rock song and have you do your classical treatment? And so I wrote out I created a chart for Little Wing.
Wow.
And so we did a Beethoven piece, a Franz Liszt piece, and a Jimi Hendrix piece.
That is cool.
That was really cool.
God, I'd love to hear that.
And also
amazing.
check out my new single. It's on iTunes. It's called Make Nice.
Cool.
Just look under Paul Pesco, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, or anybody listening. Check it out. It's called Make Nice, and it's right on iTunes. Just look up.
Well, here's what I'll do, Paul. I'll put the link to your Facebook page, and I'll put a link to that song.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Right on our website, and then of course it'll stay with the episode indefinitely.
Yeah.
But then on our support the guests, I changed it.
Oh, okay.
And support the guests, we'll have his link up there for his Facebook page.
Great. That'll
Wonderful.
work. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That stuff stays out there forever.
Yeah.
Great. Wow. Well, I really appreciate it, and it's so nice to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
I could definitely talk for another hour. My wife gets mad at me sometimes.
Well, we will do it again, Paul.
God,
we will.
yeah.
It's been a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy man. It's obvious because you're on the move the entire interview. So I know you're a busy guy, but thank you so much for taking the time. And we will. We'll stay in touch, and we'll do a few things together.
Yeah,
I look forward to it.
That would be awesome.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have a great evening, a great session, and good luck on your new project, my friend.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Take care.
you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.
All right. Well, how much fun was that? I'm honored that he took the time. Like I said, he was obviously running the whole entire time.
Yes, you could hear that parts where the Skype was letting out.
Yeah, and we're sorry about that, but Paul's a busy man.
That's the way it is. But we've talked to guys that have motors, but this guy's got a motor and a half. I mean, he's very efficient, obviously, with his time.
Yes.
And just, it sounds like that he probably can't walk through New York without experiencing 50 people he knows before he gets to the next door.
Probably, yeah. Well, he's been doing it a long time. And, if our listeners aren't really familiar, I mean, if you like Hall and Oats stuff, great, because he toured with them for a long time.
Yeah.
He did a lot of studio work with them. But, I mean, if you just want to see the guy and hear some good mixes of some stuff, he's no longer doing it. Mm-hmm. He's moved on to his own projects now. But it's on YouTube. It's also on Palladia. Go find Live from Daryl's House.
Yeah, he was there playing.
He's the main guitar player there for just about all of it.
Yeah,
and he's a really good player. And you could just see and hear him and see what he does. And if you've not seen Live from Daryl's House, you got to see it.
That's an amazing story. He just knows everybody.
But, I go back to just say yes.
Yeah.
The hell with this just say no stuff. Just say yes.
Yeah. And on top of that, like we said, don't worry about the instant gratification.
Right.
If you get in there and you do the thing and you do it well, even if you don't do it that well, but they see that you got your heart into it, you're probably going to get a pass on some things, and then the gratification will come later.
Take experience first. Get the experience. If somebody asks you to do something and they have enough faith in you to ask you to do it, just go do it.
And you can tell by this guy's personality, he is not a jerk.
Oh, no. Paul's a great guy.
Yeah. And that's a thing too. Don't be a prima donna.
Right.
Come off with an attitude.
Be easy to get along with.
Yeah. And don't think that just because you can play
1,000 notes.
Yeah, 16th triplets at 200 beats a minute.
I hate to tell you, but it ain't all that.
It ain't. That soul, that feeling, that rawness, that's what's going to probably win more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you're auditioning for Yngwie's band, well, then there's a different story. But you don't have to go in to something that's like a Hall and Oats and show your ass.
Right.
You don't have to.
You're not going to be the right fit for that.
No. And they may look at it and go, you know what? The guy's a blazing player, but we don't need that.
Absolutely. He's not the right fit. He's just not the right fit.
So sometimes it's good to kind of gauge things and just kind of keep the governor, and that way you can probably get good work.
Right. I mean, play to the gig. Play.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Relevant
to what's being played.
To what's being played around you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen. Listening's a good thing.
Yeah, and listen with your eyes too.
Right.
There's a lot of that helps.
Oh, for sure.
But very. Thank you for man. That is just.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by. Nicky Morock was one of the ones that I was really taken back by, because you just don't. You don't. Look, when you said Paul Pesco, I was thinking, wasn't he like a starter for the Giants a couple years back? Because the name just isn't in your face.
Right.
But this guy has done more than most of the big time names that we've know and love and heard and everything else, just because those guys don't work all year long.
Right, he's much more diverse. He's had a much more diversified career, And he's another one like Nicky. They travel in the same circles. They do the same kind of thing, and they're constantly working.
It's just
they're
crazy,
constantly
man.
Working, So, and that's what they chose. They chose that studio life as opposed to being on grandiose stages. Hopefully,
yes,
because that's a big question mark.
It sure is.
These guys learn to adapt. They learn their craft. They learn it well.
Yeah.
And they become diverse. And like you said, his ears are open. Like he said, there's music all around you. His ears are open to, not only different types of music, but even different types of sounds. I mean,
and speech.
And even speech, even cadence in speech,
That's
so
cool.
The rhythms have come from locomotives on a railroad track.
Absolutely.
Rhythm comes from all over. Sounds come from all over.
From your heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's how time started.
At least it did for me. But I think our time's over now.
Yes.
So
until next time, I'm Mick Marcelino.
I'm still Jeff Bober.
And we are saying...
onward, my friends.
Be sure to follow the show on Twitter @AmsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and Lick of the Week with Dave Nassie, visit our website, amsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.